So good morning everyone. In the previous class, we have discussed about the surface tension and surfactant, but the video is not up to the mark. So again, I am recording a new video. Briefly, I will discuss the applied aspect of the surface tension and surfactant. So the most important function of your pulmonary surfactant is to reduce surface tension. So this surface tension is alone responsible for two-thirds of the elastic recoil we discussed in the last class. So the most of the work done in breathing, especially during inspiration to increase the transpulmonary pressure, is used to overcome this surface tension. Let's say there is no surfactant, pulmonary surfactant. So the surface tension will always try to collapse the alveoli towards center, because the air water interface is having a specific surface tension that is 70 dyne per centimeter. So this pressure always try to pull the alveoli to its collapse. So severe work of breathing should be done. Inspiratory muscle should work with so much force to increase the pulmonary transpulmonary pressure to overcome this surface tension. But what we have is surfactant. These surfactant molecules goes in between the alveolar fluid molecules and reduces the surface tension. We already know the formula for calculating the pressure inside an alveolar distension pressure is 2T by R, because the tension is constant. Without surfactant, the pressure will be inversely relation to the radius. So that means larger the radius and diameter, smaller will be the pressure inside the alveoli. Distinct pressure inside the alveoli when T is constant at the air liquid interface. But this is not the condition in our lungs. We have surfactant. So what it does, we will see. So this we already discussed. So the distending pressure in a air bubble will try to expand the air bubble, whereas the surface tension will try to pull inside. So P is equal to 2T by R. So normally it should be P is equal to T by R, because our alveoli are hemispherical structures. We are discussing like P is equal to 2T by R. These things we have finished. So according to Laplace law, we discussed two imaginary air bubbles. When the tension is constant, that is 70 dyne per centimeter, you can see the pressure is inversely relation to the radius, the two air bubbles separated by a clamp. Now larger radius air bubble is having 14 centimeter pressure, smaller air is having 28 centimeter. When the clamp is removed, air will flow from smaller to larger, causing the collapse. This is when the surface tension is present and the interface is a same air water interface. But what happens if the same thing happens in our lungs? Then alveoli will collapse. To prevent that, we have surfactant. What surfactant will do is, rather than making T1 is equal to T2, like in this condition, it will make P1 is equal to P2. It will make P1 is equal to P2, so that even though the radii of the alveoli are different, the pressure will be same, so that there won't be any escape of air from one alveoli to another alveoli through the communications between alveoli. So P1 will be is equal to P2. Accordingly, 2T1 by R1 is equal to 2T2 by R2. So this T from 70 dyne to how much it is required is adjusted by your pulmonary surfactant. The molecules will go accordingly to the need. Okay, larger diameter, because you want to reduce the larger diameters to maintain the tension. Accordingly molecules will go smaller diameter, accordingly molecules will go there. P1 is equal to P2, that means 2T1 by R1 is equal to 2T2 by R2, where T will be directly proportional to the R. They maintain tension according to the radius. So this prevents the collapse of small alveoli. This we already discussed. So the synthesis of the surfactant starts at 34th week of intrauterine life. It will start actually after 28th week. We say after 28th week of gestation, that is in the mid time of your trimester. So this is how normally, if there is no surfactant, the entire air water interface will have water molecules which are pulled towards the center. So they exert a severe tension at the air water interface. But because the surfactant molecules, which has both hydrophobic and hydrophilic ends, they will go and displace these water molecules. Previously, if they occupy entire surface water molecules, now half of the surface will be occupied by the surfactant molecules. They occupy according to the need. So the recycling of the surfactant molecules is according to the need of the alveoli, according to the need of the alveoli. So from 70 dyne per centimeter constant value, they can reduce it to as much as you can see 5 to 30 dyne per centimeter, even up to 5 it can go. This is more or less similar to your detergent action. See, you know how to remove oil stains from the shirt. Oil stains having severe surface tension, they stick to the clothes. So what your detergent will do, detergent molecules, same like a surfactant molecule, they are soaps of fats, they are soaps of fatty acid. Surfactant is having protein soap of fatty acid, protein soap of fatty acid. What they will do is, like detergent, the detergent hydrophobic end will go and bind to the lipid molecules because lipids are hydrophobic, and the hydrophilic end of the detergent will go and dissolve in the water. Thereby, the lipid molecule will be completely surrounded by the detergent molecules. Hydrophobic ends towards the lipid and hydrophilic ends towards the water. Thereby, they remove the oil stains. This is how your detergent acts. Similarly, surfactant molecules, their hydrophilic end goes to the water molecules and hydrophobic ends towards the air. So this air is already hydrophobic. Like this is exactly like you're removing your lipid materials. So there the main function is to remove lipid. Here the main function is to reduce the tension at this air water interface. Where this air water interface is present, alveolar surface and between the air in the alveoli. Why this alveolar fluid is important at this alveolar surface? Because the gases in the alveolar air should dissolve in this alveolar fluid. From again that gases they have to diffuse. From the gaseous state they will never diffuse the respiratory membrane, that we will discuss in another class. So I told you this braking concept, depending on the size, okay, depending on the size they will apply the brake. Larger surfaces, slowly they, you know, rapidly they will diffuse and rapidly they will break the expansion, and opposite occurs in the expiration. Smaller radii, slowly they will go, and I told you the comparison with the vehicle braking. If it is going at 100 kmph, they brake suddenly fast so that they stop at same distance as a car going at, you know, slower speeds. The here's brake applied will be slow. That means the movement of surfactant from the production point, from the type 2 alveolar epithelium via tubular myelin to the air water interface will be slow. According this all things just according to the rate of expansion. You can say, sir, why is there is difference in the sizes of alveoli? This is multifactorial. It depends on the initial transpulmonary pressures, it depends on the initial lung volumes, it depends on the resistance, or else, you know, the diameters of the airways. Sometimes lung mass is compressing some of the alveoli. So without pulmonary surfactant, the first rescuing physiological phenomenon to prevent the alveolar collapse is your concept of interdependence. I told you what is interdependence. When an alveoli surrounded by other alveoli try to collapse, this will stretch the walls of the surrounding alveoli. Because of the elastic recoil, again they will pull this collapsing alveoli. That is the first primary mechanism to prevent the collapse of alveoli. Then comes your surfactant by reducing the surface tension. So when two alveoli, interconnected alveoli of different diameters, see if there is no surfactant and tension is same, then the pressure is inversely proportional to the radius. So in larger diameter alveoli, the pressure will be small. Smaller diameter alveoli, pressure will be large. So air movement occurs from large pressure to small pressure. Slowly this small alveoli will collapse. As the radius decreases, pressure increases, and this pushes air from smaller alveoli to larger alveoli, causing the collapse. But we don't need that thing. Why? Alveolar collapse should not occur to maintain uniform ventilation and perfusion, uniform gas exchange. So what your surfactant does is it changes the surface tension of the alveoli accordingly by making the pressures same. P1 is equal to P2, making 2T1 by R1 is equal to 2T2 by R2. That means they adjust the surface tension according to the radius, keeping the pressures constant. If the pressures are constant, there is no interdiffusion between the alveoli. That is an important function of your pulmonary surfactant, made up of lipids and proteins, 90% lipids, 10% proteins. Out of that lipid, the most important lipid is dipalmitoyl phosphatidyl choline. You should remember that lipid, DPPC, dipalmitoyl phosphatidyl choline. Now we discuss as the gestational age increases. See, gestational age is how much the fetus stays in the mother uterus. It starts from 0, ends at 40 weeks. That is 9 months, 7 days. We break this gestational age into 3 trimester. Trimester includes 3 months. First 3 months, first trimester, second 3 months, second trimester, last 3 months, third trimester. The maternal glucocorticoids and fetal glucocorticoids, cortisol levels increase from the mid of the third trimester till the birth of the baby. Till the birth of the baby. Once birth of the baby is over, maternal glucocorticoid levels will drop. What is the importance of this glucocorticoid increase? They mainly increases compliances of two structures. Increases the compliance of two structures. One is they promote surfactant synthesis. They promote surfactant synthesis in your fetal lungs, especially after 28 weeks of gestation period. The surfactant synthesis slowly progress in accordance with the maternal glucocorticoids level. At the same time, they also increase the compliance of your blood vessel. They increase the compliance of blood vessel, especially venous system. I told you two structures in your body are having this compliance. Very, very important. Compliance is important in two structures. One is lungs and blood vessels. In blood vessels also, which are more compliant? Veins are more compliant than arteries. What is this compliance? For similar pressure, veins accommodate more blood volume compared to your arteries. That is compliance in your blood vessels. Compliance in your lung for similar transmural pressures, transpulmonary pressure. If the volume of lung is more, then the compliance of the lung will be more. So if surfactant production increases from the birth till the birth, the surface tension decreases and the compliance of the lung increases. But till birth, lungs are of not functional in our fetus. It will have circulation, blood will go through the lungs, but lungs do not have air. After birth, the first cry of baby, it is nothing but gasping for air. Baby gasps for air via crying. So then air enters the respiratory tract, inflating all previously collapsed airways and alveoli. So when this thing occurs, slowly the surfactant produced in the type 2 alveolar cells starts pooling near the alveolar liquid. Initially they won't present near the alveolar liquid, they are produced in the type 2 alveolar cells and also respiratory bronchiole clara cells, and they will wait for the birth. Once birth occurs, baby cries, taking in first air, the first gasp of air. Once the respiratory tract is open wide and the alveoli are inflated, this occurs with the help of your inspiratory muscles which move your chest wall, thereby reducing your intrapleural pressure, increasing your transpulmonary pressure, stretching the lung wall, increasing the alveolar diameter. So the then the surfactant molecule slowly appears at the alveolar surface, reducing the surface tension with continuous breaths after one breath after other. The more and more surfactant will reach the air alveolar water interface and reduces the surface tension, increasing the compliance. So the most important maternal hormone responsible is glucocorticoids, partly thyroxine, insulin also is responsible for increasing surfactant synthesis. In normal adults, in us also, yawning and sighing, yawning you already know, when you are sleepy you will yawn so many times. That increases the recycling of surfactant at the air water interface. Sighing, when you are bored, you will sigh. So that also increases the surfactant. With every breath, surfactant recycles. So exercise increases the surfactant synthesis. So factors that decreases surfactant synthesis is simple. When there is no use, then the surfactant synthesis decreases. If an airway block is present because of smoking, because of increase in resistance, occlusion, all these things, the surfactant in that particular alveolar segment will reduce. Okay, this is not much important. So what are the disorders? So adult respiratory distress syndrome related to surfactant production is not much important. This is mainly adult respiratory distress syndromes occur because of the respiratory tract infections like SARS, your coronavirus respiratory infections. These leads to adult respiratory distresses where they cause inflammation of the respiratory cells, they damage the alveolar epithelium, so thereby reduces the surfactant synthesis and causing inflammation, edema, blockage of the smaller airways. That is different scenario. But what if there is infant respiratory distress syndrome and when it occurs? So we call term delivery when baby birth happens after 36 weeks of gestation. 40th week we call it as full term delivery. After 28th week of gestation, we call it as 28 weeks of gestation, we call it a period of viability. Only after 28th week of gestation, if baby is delivered, then it can survive in the outside world without difficulty. If it is delivered after 36 weeks, that is normal. So before 36 weeks and after 28 weeks. Before 28 week, the fetus will not survive. The probability of surviving before 28 weeks is 0% almost. So 28 to 36 weeks, we call it as, if the delivery occurs, we call it as preterm delivery. And the infant, we call it as premature infant. We call it as premature infant. In what relation we are calling it as premature infant is mainly related to its lung maturity. Because from the middle of the third trimester, that means 32 to 34 weeks, the cortisol levels and the surfactant production increases. If the baby is born after 28 weeks, before 34 weeks, the surfactant production will be very, very less. So baby is born at that period, they will not have adequate surfactant in the lungs, adequate cortisols to stimulate their lung surfactant production. So when they cry and take in air, they need more work of breathing, more energy required to cause the contraction of inspiratory muscles. More work should be done to inflate the lungs, increase the transpulmonary pressure. If you remember the graph of static lung compliance and dynamic lung compliance curves, at 8 centimeters slowly the alveoli will open, and at somewhere around 15 to 20 centimeters they are completely open. Now this curve completely shifts towards right. The inflation limb of the lung compliance curve completely shifts to right, increasing the work of breathing. Baby gasps for air, and because of lack of surfactant, the surface tension will be severe and it will always try to collapse. And mid expiration only most of the alveoli will collapse. Again, baby will start, every breath of the baby will be like its first breath. Severe resistance will be there and severe work should be done to increase the transpulmonary pressure. But this does not happen in babies born after term. They will have surfactant that reduces surface tension. So what should be done? When you expect a preterm delivery, so many condition you there are in gynecological condition you expect preterm deliveries. Then what you will do is you will give maternal glucocorticoid therapy. And once the baby is born, you will give the inhalational surfactants. Nowadays there is inhalational surfactants, and baby should be kept on positive airway pressure ventilation. Okay, you should create more positive pressure at the nose opening of the infant so that air goes from high pressure to low pressure area. Your main aim of treatment will be to reduce the work of breathing. Otherwise, baby will utilize its most of the energy production for your respiratory work, and if it continues, there will be respiratory failure leading to infant respiratory distress syndrome. Why it occurs? Preterm deliveries because of reduced surfactant production, less surfactant production. Treatment, give inhalational surfactant. Then we will see this case history. So 24-year-old pregnant woman presented to the hospital with preterm labor, delivered premature infant at 27 weeks. Actually, at 27 weeks, the uh, period of viability is 28 weeks, so it is difficult. So after the delivery, infant cried, subsequently began to grunt, showed signs of hypoxia because infant is gasping for the grunting is nothing but contracting entire body to move the chest wall, that is grunting, severe gasping. Showed signs of hypoxia because there is no adequate alveolar ventilation, gas exchange is depleted, so leading to, even though you keep oxygen supplementation, there is hypoxia. Baby immediately was intubated with ET tube, endotracheal tube. I told you we will insert the ET tube via mouth into the trachea. So surfactant is given down the ET tube. Synthetic surfactant. Previously they used to take surfactant from lamb lung. Okay, lambs, newborn sheep, goats. They used to extract surfactant. Nowadays we are producing in synthetic surfactants. It is given by ET tube. Baby's hypoxia is resolved, and he was transferred to NICU for further stabilization. So when there is a premature infant, initially you should prevent. So there should be prevention first when you expect a preterm delivery. Like mothers who already had preterm delivery during first child, they will tend to have second child also preterm delivery. In such condition, when you expect from the second trimester, you will give the maternal simple injection of cortisol to mother will increase the production of surfactant in the fetus. Okay, but you did not expect, all of a sudden you got a preterm delivery and there is baby, premature baby, then immediately what you are supposed to do is intubate the baby, give oxygen supply, at the same time give surfactant, and care should be provided. So that is very, very important. Surfactant, pulmonary surfactant reduces the surface tension, prevents the alveolar collapse, improves the lung compliance, and reduces the work of breathing. This is my closing statement. Thank you. Watch this video in loop so that you will understand. Go through your textbook. I already shared you the notes. Go through that notes. That notes is in addition to your textbook matter. Thank you.